Ooh, what up, no? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and finally, Knockouts and Three Counts is back to your airwaves with a lot to talk about. We got AEW World's End. We've got WWE Day One and the return of The Rock. We've also got the proposed return of Conor McGregor and whether we think that's actually going to happen or not. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about the fine folks over there at Potter's Tree Service, who are bringing you this episode of Podcast Gold. If you're in the need for tree removal, tree trimming, chipping service, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, or lot clearing, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. But I can show you better than I can tell you. Check out our sponsors at Potter's Tree Service. If you guys are checking us out, make sure you like the stream, share the stream, all that stuff, and please make sure you chime in and tell us what you think on tonight's topics. Enjoy the show.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
We got a new world champion.
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby. It's the real deal, baby.
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up, no? It is another Tuesday. We have survived. We are back, finally back to your airwaves. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, first episode of 2024. Shout out to everybody that's checking us out. Make sure you guys hit that like button, that share button, the subscribe button, all those buttons. Man, what up, no? Make sure you check out Potter's Tree Service, all that stuff. Tell them Knockouts and Three Counts sent you. What up, no, Bree? We've got a lot of things to talk about on a Tuesday, man. You got AEW World's End. We've got the return of The Rock in WWE Day One. We've also got the proposed return of the notorious one, Conor McGregor, as well. So a lot to talk about in both the combat sports world and pro wrestling. But before we get to that, how was y'all's New Year's real quick? Happy 24 to you as well, sir.
I can't believe it's 2024 already.
That's a weird part. I wrote the date, and that was weird. That always feels weird for the first time when you got to write the date on a new year. But that being said, man, got to hang out with the little ones for New Year's Eve. Got to hang out with the friends for a little while as well. Kyle was involved with that for a little bit, and then
yeah, they kicked me out before the ball dropped. Don't let them lie to you.
Oh, you got a little too much champagne, huh?
No,
I didn't even drink any alcohol.
I was gonna say nobody drank. I had 2 twisted teas. That was the extent of the drinking.
I was like, say, Kyle, you party animal. They threw you out before the ball dropped.
Yeah, I didn't even they didn't even invite me over. Shows how Corey is.
It was literally me, Jesse, Lindsay, and Robin, and the kids. So, but that being said, On top of that, really my peak is the next day. My boys in blue being able to pull it off against Alabama, man. That's where my head's still at. But yeah, man, New Year's has been good so far, especially with that. The Lions game was interesting as well, but I'm not even really that hurt about it because I feel like the way we played and the way
Right.
it is what it is. Yeah, like we.
All right, we'll see him again. We're gonna see him in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Don't worry.
Stomp that ass.
I just want to say it here for the
J-Bone?
record. I just want to say it here for the record. We saw from one night to the other why you should just kick the extra point, but I'll leave that
This
there.
is true. This is true. We'll save that for a different podcast, but I totally agree with you. My emotions were so back and forth on that particular 2.5.
I respect the balls, but once you got the penalty, they should have just kicked the point and went to fucking overtime, and then they would have had an actual chance to run a full drive and all that stuff. But we'll talk about the Lions because we're going to the playoffs anyway. But go blue because we're going to the motherfucking ship.
That's what I'm talking about. Our boys in blue, baby. Let's go, man. Monday's gonna be wild.
We're going to the ship.
We're gonna be some tired motherfuckers on Tuesday next week. I'll tell you that much. So I'm gonna be
give a shit. I'm gonna be watching Michigan win the ship. That's what I'm saying right now.
I'm gonna be up all night. I'm gonna do a full day of work, and then I'm gonna come do a full night of podcasting. We're gonna be tired, but it's gonna be great.
We are going to be tired, but you're right. It is going to be great because also next week is Fight Week. Lights Out Championship returns to the Hype Athletics Center in Wayne, and they're giving me a microphone to talk trash while these guys fight. But something tells me you should check us out this Thursday because one of the most hyped fights, or most fights that have the biggest hype around it, in Jesse Bazzi versus Calvin Hollywood Harbaugh, one of the coaches of past guests of the show, Esteban Mohawk Rodriguez from BKFC, will be stepping in the cage, and they will both be on this show before they fight each other next week. So, it's going to get spicy in this.
Leave it up to us to stir it up. Let's go.
Well, speaking about stirring it up, AEW did that because I'm going to be quite honest. I really did not think MJF was dropping that belt. Really didn't think he was dropping that belt. So, J-Bone, what were your overall thoughts on AEW World's End?
For as busy as a weekend it was, man, it was good to watch some wrestling. I'm with you though. I didn't think he was going to drop it yet, but I think they're really trying to lead us into the whole bidding war of 2024 with him. Did you see they took him off the website, off their roster on the website? So I know we're trying to sneak him, but I mean, if they're smart, they better
hold on to him.
Back the Brinks truck up to that dude, because if you let him go, you are starting your 2024 off horrible. But the show itself, I thought it was okay. Like I said, for as busy as a weekend as it was, but MJF, man, great match with Samoa Joe. I'm happy for Samoa Joe.
Facts.
Been watching that guy for years, and for him to be the champion of a major organization now, I think it's great, dude.
See, Breeze chiming in. She thinks it's part of the story.
I do like that they're teasing. I do like that they take him off, to make us because they want us talking, right? Any type of publicity, especially when it comes to AEW, needs to be at the forefront right now for them. So I don't think they let him go. If they do, they're really fucking stupid. I'm just gonna say
as a casual, very, very, very casual outsider perspective on AEW, yeah, that's basically been their whole hype train for the length of their organization. So if you let him go and then he becomes,
look what happened with Jade Cargill though. That's the thing. They let Jade Cargill go, and Jade Cargill was the biggest blue chipper star I would say that they had over there on the women's side. Maybe not as big of a star as a Britt Baker or any of them yet, but she's on her way. If she wasn't, there's a reason why WWE just signed her like that.
They may have learned a lesson there. Don't fuck it up again. You know what I mean?
Do you think it was just WWE's deep pockets that did that, or do you think it was is AEW or AEW, are they doing something wrong in the process of not necessarily keeping the talent that maybe they should? Are they running it more like a sports team where they're if you're not going to play to our rules, we'll just trade you to the other team type of shit?
I'm gonna be honest. I think with Jade Cargill, I really don't think it's about the money. I mean, ultimately, they all want to get paid, but I don't think that it's as big a thing for Jade to get paid. Because if I'm not mistaken, J-Bone, isn't she married to like somebody in MLB or something like that?
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she's married to somebody in MLB too. Plus, I mean, she's got all her own money from her own fitness stuff. So don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm not saying she needs money from her husband. All I'm saying is it's not like somebody who's coming up off the indies who like they're trying to get that first big wrestling contract. In my personal opinion, I feel like realistically, I mean, they built her like she was the female Goldberg. Okay. And she beat everybody pretty much. I mean, how else do you put it? She was what? She was how many in before she lost, J-Bone?
Yeah, I don't remember. It wasn't 80 something. Was it 80 something? I don't remember.
It was a lot of them. It was a lot of
there.
them. And she was undefeated just like Goldberg was. And so I feel like realistically, bro, I think there was only I feel like there was only so much that you really could do, right? Like, I mean, realistically, I feel like the only thing left for Jade to have done in AEW would have been for her to win the world title. So when you think about that in somebody who's only been there for a couple years and is only a couple years into the business, if you've already burned through everything you can do in a company like that quick, and I think it's more about the opportunity that there was in WWE. And J-Bone, I want to hear your thoughts on this too, but I think it has more to do with the opportunity that I think she sees in WWE. Because as we spoke,
the ceiling's higher.
Yeah,
right. And I think as we've talked about before, especially with us heading into the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, I don't think it's too far-fetched for anybody that's watching this, that watches the product, to say that realistically, bro, I mean, WWE is as hot as they've been in since the Attitude Era.
Yes.
Like, that's almost unarguable. They're selling tickets left and right. I mean, they just had, I think, didn't they say on Raw last night, J-Bone, that the MSG house show was the highest grossing house show they've ever had in history at MSG?
Yep. Ever.
So,
in the history of the company, dude. We're talking,
right.
You remember how often Hulk Hogan used to headline MSG, dude? And
all that for the first time CM Punk comes back to a house show and it's 16,000 people. So, I mean, look, they're hitting on all cylinders, and I think the fact that they've got so many different options of where they can go, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about day one a little bit later. But I to sum up the point, I just think that Jade sees bigger opportunity there. And I think WWE sees the star that they already have. That, let's not mistake it, AEW helped cultivate that and made her the star that we see right now as far as wrestling goes. But I think WWE realized that there were some things that they still wanted her to work on. So I'm sure they've got her training every day, getting ready for her debut. And I think because of that, by the time they do put her on TV, bro, I think she's going to be that much better. Personally, I think you want to talk about surprises that I think we could see in the Royal Rumble. I think Jade Cargill is going to be one of the ones that we see show up in the women's Royal Rumble. That's just me. J-Bone, what do you think it was that made her go over to WWE? Huh?
I think it, like you said, man, you got to strike while the iron's hot in this business. And she was red hot in AEW. And there was somebody in her ear somewhere in there saying, hey, this is how you need to do it. You're hot right now. Take the opportunity. And like you just said, it's all about the opportunity. If she was 10, 15 years in the business, it really wouldn't matter that much right now. The fact that she's so fresh still, she's got so much farther to go, and she's already a superstar. Why not go to the WWE, get all the best training in the world, you get all the best media in the world, you already got the superstar look, they're going to groom you into being the next big megastar. And I think that's what was in her mind. But smart move, if you ask me. Strike while the iron's hot.
So what you're both saying then is MJF is gone. Because
no.
That's what I just heard. That's what I just heard for sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, only because I would have to think after Jade leaving, Tony would be a damn fool if he doesn't say, like, look, I'm not letting my other major homegrown star like that.
Can't let both, dude.
Like, I would.
I mean, MJF, you don't want to sign too long, right? If you already, well, you might have already done it, but you're still young. What is he, 24?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think he's 27 now.
Okay, so let's say you get up into your 30s, your body starts changing, the way you heal starts changing. You don't want to miss that chip either. So don't sign something long term to where you're stuck there forever, man, because you want that opportunity. Everybody wants to be at WrestleMania, dude. If they say they don't, they're fucking lying. I'm sorry.
I mean,
But
and
that's
think
the
about it.
end
He
all be
got
all.
the main event All In, which was like the second biggest show of, like they're saying it's arguably the biggest show of all time. That one they did at Wembley. So you got to do Wembley. Now the only thing left for him to really do is go over to WrestleMania. But like I said, I think it's going to be a lot harder for somebody to get MJF up out of there. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw, though, man. We're talking about MJF. MJF is no longer your AEW world champion. Samoa Joe is your new world champion. And can I just say, I love the fact that Samoa Joe is a world champion in 2024. Can we please? He looks great with that belt. His answers at the press conference, like the fact that he was so cold-blooded, the way he was just like, I played you like a fiddle. I was teamed up with them the whole time, and then I capitalized. Yeah. I love it. It's old school Joe. Joe is Joe. It doesn't matter what company we're talking about. Samoa Joe is Samoa Joe. He's the wily vet, and the man is a killer. I love the fact that he's the champion. What do you think about Joe winning the championship, J-Bone? And then we'll talk about the reveal of who the devil really is.
Oh, I loved it, dude. Like me, you talked about, we've been watching Joe for so many years, and the fact that he's getting his shine in classic Samoa Joe fashion, right? The cold-blooded killer Samoa Joe. Like and especially the way the match ended with the Coquina Clutch. So, Kyle, we've been watching wrestling our whole lives, dude. It's very rare that you see the gimmick, one arm goes up, down at two, and the arm goes down. You're expecting the arm to come back up. Like, he choked him out cold, like a definitive finish. There was no like controversy, no maybes. Oh, if he would have did this, nothing. Joe was a killer. He's been a killer, and now he's on the forefront of a company. And like we said, as wrestling fans for this long, you got to be proud of somebody like that, dude, because he's put in the work for years. He's a vet, and he deserves to be where he's at. But as far as the scrum, like you said, cold-blooded Joe, man, that is classic Samoa Joe shit. I was loving it, dude. I was in for the whole thing.
He's a G. There's no other way to put it. Tony Storm, it was like the star of the whole press conference. I just when she stood up and she goes, Wendy Richter, I'm gonna fuck you up. Wendy Richter, for those that don't know, is like around from like the 80s. So it just makes it all the better with the timeless Tony Storm thing. But the way she stopped in dead sentence, it was like, Wendy Richter, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, it was a good time. But what'd you think about the reveal of the devil? Ring the bell. I told y'all, motherfuckers, it was the kingdom. It was the kingdom, but the kingdom's got new members. We got the kingdom of Adam Cole, baby. You've got Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, but you've also got Wardlow in that joint. I thought that surprised me, and that's why I loved it. I've said that they needed to play into the story. One of the biggest things that we complain about with AEW is the way that they don't always play into the stories, even when sometimes they're obviously there. This time they did, and I feel like they're using it to also lift up a guy like Wardlow as well. I loved that part. I thought that was so dope. My question to you, J-Bone, though, is not only what did you think, but we saw Maria Kanellis, who's Mike Bennett's wife, post, moving on, and she's got a new team that she's teaming with in Ring of Honor. Could we see Dr. Britt Baker take the Maria Kanellis spot since we've got a new member in Wardlow inside the kingdom?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, why not, right? It's fresh. It's new. Who better other than Maria to come in and be with Adam Cole? We all know, we're not stupid. We all know what it is, right? But it's just more layers, man, to that. And I liked it. I seen a lot of people that were upset with the way that Adam Cole was revealed, right? But like, if you really think about it, you can't really hide. He's legitimately injured, dude. You can't hide the fact that, like, if he's a guy out there in the mask with everybody else, he's going to be wearing his damn boot. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't hide it. So I was cool with it. I like that the story's where it's at. I'm glad that we're gonna get potentially MJF and Adam Cole because that's gonna have money signs written all over it. So I'm cool with that. I liked it. Yeah, I don't know how else we could have. I think it was Adam Cole all along, right? Wouldn't you agree, Kyle? I know a lot of people were saying,
I said from the jump,
maybe somebody new, like there's really not a lot you could do with it all, but for an injured Adam Cole, I think they did really well with that.
I agree 100%, bro. Like I mean, I said that I thought that it was going to be the Kingdom from the jump. And hang on one second. There you go. Millions is streaming in there, so I'm hearing doubles of myself real quick. But with that being said, yeah, man, I said it was going to be the Kingdom. I thought that was the best way to go. Finally, that's right, Brock. Finally, we're back. And hey, yo, what up, Cody? If you guys are checking this out, please make sure you like the stream, share the stream, that all that stuff helps and counts, and share it and all that shit, please. But with that being said, yes, I thought it was going to be the Kingdom. I think it's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous that they were doing it this quick, though, because like you said, with Adam Cole being hurt, I wondered if they wanted his ankle to be back at 100% before they did that. That's why I kind of thought they might unveil like the people that were with, that were with him first before they do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, dude, like I thought that was dope. And I'm happy with Joe being the champion. I'm happy with all that stuff, dude. So looks like you've got visitors.
I don't know what that was.
What up, no? Happy New Year. Like the stream. If you guys are just jumping in, make sure you share it and keep commenting. We appreciate you. But with that said, what are your thoughts?
Everybody looking down every time this happens.
I mean, you just had people like walking around in your house, like randomly walking through your shit like Ape Man. But
the door's always open around here, man.
Hello?
Look what the damn cat dragged in.
Is this Pro Wrestling Edge?
Nah, that's on Fridays.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's not Friday. Fuck, I gotta go.
Uncle Chase made his cameo for 2024. Talk to me about Eddie Kingston winning the Triple Crown. I said it going into it. I thought he needed to win it. I didn't think Jon Moxley needed it. I'm happy for Eddie Kingston, especially with knowing how big of a Japan guy he was with that. I think he was the guy that needed to win that. So, like I said, shout out to Eddie Kingston.
We've been talking Eddie Kingston stuff for a while. For me, though, dude, it's like we need something for him because he's been busting his ass in AEW and Ring of Honor. But besides what we have now, before that, we had nothing to show for it besides just good story. You know what I mean? We didn't really have the best wrestling with Eddie Kingston. So, like we talk about all the time as a fan, like you want to see more on him. But for me, it doesn't mean a whole lot. It's like, all right, I got 3 belts, but we're still like overshadowed by literally everything else. That's just me personally. I don't know if anybody agrees with that.
I liked the tournament, and I think it's dope. I mean, I think it all depends on what they do with him from here. Like, if he wins this tournament and then it vaults him into being like a main event player, then I'm okay with it. Then I think it served what its purpose is, and him being elevated is also going to elevate the fact that he has the Triple Crown. If they have him win the Triple Crown and then he just goes back to where he was, well, then now you just shit all over the Continental Classic and you shit all over them belts that he's got. So to me, it's all in what happens to Eddie Kingston from here. Great match with him.
I didn't really understand the Continental Classic, to be honest. It was a little much for me to, my attention span ain't very well. All right, I'm old, so.
What?
Speaking of old.
Old guys in their hearing, man. They hear everything.
They do
selectively. That's what it is. He heard old and said, "What?"
Yeah, Mom, you hear that? Y'all got selective hearing.
You pouring yourself a drink or something?
I'm eating the butterscotch back here.
Okay,
but like I said, I'm not mad at that at all. let's see. As far as the rest of AEW World's End, bro, can we please talk about Tony Storm for a minute just before we get out of here? Because between the press conference and Luther and Mariah May that has come in, that's making her debut this Wednesday on Dynamite. Yeah. I'm so fucking entertained by Tony Storm.
He's coming my way, dude. I need a jacket like Luther, though. I'll tell you that. That should have been the New Year's get up right there.
I need a mink like Tony's got right now. I need to get on Tony's level. I need a mink like Tony's got right now. And Wendy Richter, she's coming to fuck you up.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Throwback. God. No, she's doing good work, though. That's another one that you gotta keep grooming her, man.
Yes, they have too many belts.
That's right. Exactly.
But yes, I loved that. I thought it was great. I thought they had a great match too, dude. But I think Tony Storm needs to keep the belt for a while.
For a minute, yeah, I agree. Let's hold on and make the belt like prestigious for her. You know what I mean? So I think they'll do it.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like I think she's one of the hidden gems for sure.
There's a lot of crazy shit going on in 2024, man. I'll tell you what.
We're off to a crazy start. We're finally back to the airwaves, and we're in for one hell of a show. Well, before we get into WWE Day 1 and the return of The Rock and all that good stuff, there was some MMA news as well. And shout out to Swerve Strickland too. I loved what he said in the press conference as well. And the way that they played into the story, the last match him and Dustin had with Keith Lee not being able to be in that match, that was a real big bummer for me that we didn't get to see that one. Like, I feel like at this point that story might just go dead, but that was one thing that was a bummer for me. But we've got the news of the return of Conor McGregor, or the proposed return of Conor McGregor, and
proposed. Nothing's official, right?
I'm calling it proposed until I see the UFC put something out with a date and all that stuff. But I've got a surprise for everybody. So, Corey, I'm going to let you go first. You get to go first, and I've got some taste testing to do real quick.
Taste testing?
Shit. Well, surprise. But no, that being said, honestly, the whole weight thing, I think, is kind of bullshit. I mean, he may just be trying to pull a stunt with, not a stunt, but to try to get his fight with Michael Chandler. So basically both of them are coming in with 0 weight cut. So he can try to claim, to have a victory in multiple, in all the different weight classes in the UFC. But that being said, I don't know, man. I love the matchup. Let's just get it rolling. It's probably going to be on UFC 300 if I was to, I was to guess. Yeah, dude.
So, okay, what did he say in the video? He said June 29th, right? I think he said UFC 302, but I mean, I think it's like we said earlier, man, it's a classic Conor McGregor move. Like, you're going to follow what I want you to do. You're going to come to me. You're going to fight my fight type of thing. Like, I'm Conor McGregor. I call the shots type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, neither one of these guys have fought at middleweight. So what would be the point? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it
doesn't make sense.
Unless the internet rumors are true and Conor's just pumping those steroids in, like I'll be 185 and just clean your clock.
Be super juicy. Honestly, I think that would be it would be funny if that's how he claims to have a victory in that weight class, as he fights somebody who's a small 55er all the way up at 85. That'd be pretty funny. But that being said, it wouldn't surprise me if it's 70. That's for sure. Yeah. It definitely wouldn't surprise me there. But
it's because Conor wants to try to be able to say he's the first guy to fight in 4 different weight classes. But yeah, you fought at 85, but you're a 55 or a 70 at best.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, and especially if the matchup really does materialize with Chandler, he's picking somebody who's essentially a smaller, and I mean he's jacked as shit, right? Chandler's huge, but he's on the smaller height, and he's meant to be a 55er. He's not meant to be a 70-pounder. He's not meant to be an 85er. That's for damn, 100. That's 100% true. He's not supposed to be a 185 or so. I don't know what the ramifications are if they end up actually doing something like that, but 170 is what I'm predicting, honestly.
Yeah.
I do
We'll
think
see.
we see
I'd
him
be
though.
horrible in the
I do
promo
think we see him.
class. I'll tell you that much. But no, I'm with
Okay.
you. I don't think there's no way they're fighting at 185, dude.
Yeah.
That's completely out of shape for those guys.
Do you think we see him though? Do you think the date is fairly real, and do you think we see him within, late spring, early summer?
I'd say it's probably going to be the fight of the summer. Get it in June, July. When's
Well, I
International
don't think.
Fight Week? Isn't that
I
the end of
think
June?
they said it's in June, and
Okay.
I mean that's the thing. Listening to past guest of the show, Jimmy Smith, man, like I agree with what he said. I don't think that he's probably too far off on what the date is. I don't know that I necessarily believe the weight. I don't necessarily know that I believe the time frame until they announce it or put out a poster. But I'm sure that the UFC and him have had to have conversations with all those things. And I mean,
Because there's been no acknowledgement from the UFC, correct?
none
As
that
far
I've
as-
seen.
I've seen nothing.
Well, but they're not really announcing fights that far ahead yet, and I think
But if it's Conor McGregor, they will. And I think now that he's opened his mouth, if they haven't yet, it ain't going to be too far before they do.
yeah,
Sure.
that's
Do you
true.
think
All
it's
right.
just him like wanting to be the one to break the news, like
Of course it is.
like
Of
we
course
just talked
it
about,
is.
like Conor McGregor, the world's in my hand type of deal, and like here's what
100%. I think that's what that is. That's just he wants to be the one to break the news. Hell yeah, 100%. I think that.
Yeah.
One more
as he's
quick thing.
drinking wine.
One more quick thing I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it from the MMA world was I seen an article come out earlier. I forget who it was. I wish I could give them credit, but it was on the fact that the UFC's TV rights deals are basically almost up with ESPN, and the fact that they're estimating the TV rights deal to be essentially double what it was when they started the ESPN deal. Are you guys surprised at that level of growth? I know like COVID and stuff did a huge thing for the business. The fact that they've just been on ESPN and been kind of now one of the bigger pillars of sports, where before it was kind of like a more of a sideshow. You had to kind of follow it or care to follow it. Now it's like in the forefront. It's on ESPN every Saturday. So are you guys thoughts on the fact that they basically doubled in what, a 6-year deal, 5-year deal?
Yeah, some 5
You
years.
want to go
right?
first?
I mean, I think for me, it's we knew we'd get here. Like this is an ever growing sport. You know what I mean? I think we got there faster than I expected, but we knew it was going to be one of the major sports in the world. Right over there, Kyle.
I already know what that is. I can tell after the
But Corey, you can agree. It's been the fastest growing sport in the world, man, over the past, 10, 20 years, 30 years. You know what I mean? So the fact that I think it's just going to get larger. Eventually, I think we will see somewhere. We already got Fight Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the lines, while the merger with TKO and all that, I think they're going to get their own platform eventually. Maybe that might be just a bridge to get to the next big step, like the next big Fox contract or ESPN contract or whatever the case may be, just to get on a bigger scale. I don't think that's coming like anytime soon, but I'm not surprised at the growth. I think it's still growing. It's an ever-growing sport, and it's definitely taking over combat sports. I mean, what's better than the UFC, right? What's better than mixed martial arts and combat sports? Sorry, guys, it ain't boxing no more.
No. It seems to have definitely taken over, at least in this market, that's for sure. But what were you going to say, Kyle?
So to answer your question, no, I'm not surprised at all. I think purely by the fact that ESPN not only has the UFC, but they have PFL on there tells you to the power of what MMA has done. Am I surprised by the growth for the UFC? No, because if you listen to, listen to past guests of this show, Jimmy Smith, which if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But if you listen to him talk about it, when they talked about the history of the UFC and all that stuff, like from where it started to where it's at, the UFC is like the WWE of MMA.
Mm-hmm.
And, now you've got both of them are under the same promotional banner as well. I think what is very interesting to me is I wonder if this could mean if the UFC might go somewhere else because PFL is on the same network. And now that, like you said, their value has doubled, I could see another one of the bigger networks trying to take them off of ESPN. Like I could see, and especially with the WWE's rights deals coming up with Fox and it looking like I don't know where they're going to end up. I mean, I could see them trying to pick up the UFC back.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, granted, I understand it's under the same company. So, I mean, then for that same reason, they may not go back to them. But no, I think if there were ever a time for the UFC that they may try to go to a different network, it would be now. Because like you said, to your own point, I mean, with the way that the value of the company has been built, I mean,
where could they go though? As far as like street, I guess because you have to take your whole library, right? So if the UFC is off ESPN,
they already have UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah, I don't
is that
think
what we would do?
I think you can only watch ESPN events on ESPN. Like you can't go back and dig into like the old stuff. You can only do.
They can
like
do what WWE used to do and have like the UFC Fight Pass be like the WWE Network was. I mean, essentially already is, and you get events from all over the place. They could either go to that model and stream completely on their own, or I could see like Fox, a CBS, a fucking any one of the major networks being like you said, Corey, again, with the way that the growth of the name UFC has gone, I think they could punch their ticket in a lot of ways. I also wouldn't be shocked if they sign another rights deal with ESPN. But I'm just saying that I think that there's a very high possibility that if there was ever a time for them to try to go off of ESPN, with PFL being under the same umbrella, I could see them wanting to get away from it so that they could do that. But I could also see them want to stay on ESPN so that they could crush their competition.
Still the biggest sports network in the world. So
yeah. And whenever anybody in the United States thinks of sports, you immediately are like, well, what's ESPN? Let me see what for anything sports, I just click on my ESPN app and I look it up off there. Yeah, I don't even look it up on Google. I don't, I just go straight to my ESPN app. So it's just a built-in like function of the American experience, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But to your point, Kyle, would it surprise me a ton if they went their own direction? No. Is there a ton of other networks out there that are also just as big in clout, but maybe not in the sports world, that would love to maybe get an audience like the UFC brings over every time they move? That wouldn't surprise me a bit. But I think because it's the worldwide leader in sports, I think the they've seen the fact that they've grown so much under this last contract. I think they're going to ride that wave a little bit longer, continue the potential growth that ESPN provides. And really, I feel like with the implementation of betting in the sport, it's really changed. Like so many more people that wouldn't tune in on a Saturday night fight night now all of a sudden care because so-and-so's got $20 on so-and-so. So let's all sit down and watch, that's changing the landscape of the sport. And here in another couple of years, I think that'll even continue that growth pattern if they stay on the right platform. So I think right now if I'm Dana, I'm saying right now is not the time. I'm saying stay on ESPN, continue to build that growth. And then once you have tens of millions tuning in to your regular fights and stuff, then start your own network. Yeah.
Speaking of growth and speaking of things you can grow, Prowler Pickles, shout out to past guests of the show. She's getting ready to grow her 2024 Miranda Fear the Maverick before she gets back into the cage with Andrea KGB Lee. But I had to see if these pickles was legit. I got me a quart of the sour dill pickles over here. See here, it says Sour Spears on there. Make sure you check them out at Prowler Pickles. Make sure you check out Miranda Maverick for those. I gotta taste test these some bitches to see if they're any good.
Go.
So here we go.
I can hear the crunch.
Yeah, sounds
crunch.
legit.
Not bad. Not gonna lie, that pickle juice when you first open that jar, boy, dang.
She said
You
it
like-
on the show. She said it. She said, "I'm not used to the sour ones and stuff. I started doing that, and they pop and stuff. But I'm not." I was like, "Oh yeah,
They
you're doing it
taste
right,
good,
buddy."
bro. But boy, when you open up that jar, man, it just it hits you right in the face. Well, shout out to Prowler Pickles. Shout out to Miranda Maverick. Hopefully she does well in her fight. Make sure you check her out. UFC 298 against Andrea KGB Lee. We'll have to talk about it. But the pickles are legit. Make sure you check out Prowler Pickles. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you.
Look at that. We're doing a little bit of everything already in 2024. It's been wild, hasn't it? What a new year.
And next week, we're going to have a whole new sponsor. We're not even a week into this, bitch. And we already got a new sponsor.
I had a random fella walk through the house a few times.
Did he disappear? Is he out into the wind? Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It must have been time for his medicine. Speaking of medicine, man, you know, there's not a lot better medicine for us pro wrestling fans than seeing people like a Stone Cold and all that stuff. Or, like it says in the title, finally, The Rock has come back to WWE, and it looks like he's coming back for his seat at the head of the table. J-Bone, what were your thoughts on the return of The Rock and what we saw with Jinder Mahal in the way that he got him calling him, what was it? What was it?
Douchebag. Was it you're a douchebag, right? Or,
it was douchebag, but I feel like part of him was calling him something else. Oh, dude, I'm losing it. But he was he had 16,000 people calling him a douchebag and chanting along with it.
I literally laughed when Jinder Mahal's music hit because I knew we watch this shit all the time. You know they want to troll you when they do something like that, and Jinder Mahal walks out. You know something big's gonna happen because. Come on, dude. He's got to be the most hated WWE champion of all time. He has to be. Would you agree, Kyle? You think he'd have to be the one? Like, if there was one you could erase from history, it would probably be him.
Really?
I would think so. Who else comes to mind?
I mean, Jinder had a pretty good reign, bro. Like, if we're really being honest, like he did really have. He had a pretty good run, but I mean, first of all, good for Jinder that Jinder got to be. See, Bree already forgot too. At least it's not my only old brain. Yeah, but dude, I mean, what's that say about Jinder though? You get to be in the ring with The Rock, like I mean, and go back and forth with The Rock. Like I mean, say what you want, but my man was not mad about being in the ring with The Rock. But dude,
I'll tell you what, though, this and I said this before on the show. It just drives my point home that The Rock is still, and I think forever will be the greatest WWE superstar of all time. And we said it before. There's nobody. You could have put Stone Cold Steve Austin on that bill, and you're not going to get the reaction.
That was what he's a day one douchebag. That's it, day one douchebag.
You're not going to get a bigger reaction than The Rock. Just the rumor of him swirling, coming back. We don't even have to publicize it, and tickets sell out like that, right?
I mean, I guarantee you. Look at the pop he got. That place, the roof almost came off that joint when he came out. And then it shows the pro that The Rock is, right? Because he doesn't allude to Roman Reigns one time. And then at the end of it just goes, should I go to a bar? Should I go out and go get some drinks after this? Maybe I should go take a seat at the head of the table. Just the way.
And the world goes nuts.
See? It made me jump. See, it made me jump when his music hit. I mean, there's no other way to put it, bro. Like there's
no bigger star, dude. There's no bigger star than The Rock. That just is what it is.
I mean, we were talking about it for months. I mean, like you said, that's exactly how we were saying it too. There's no bigger star that they could bring out to have against Roman, who's had this historic run now, and now here's the crumbs getting laid. Yeah. That's for sure.
Now the question remains: how do we get there? Where's it going to be? Who's it going to affect? I think that's ultimately.
See, here's the thing. I don't think that means that that's got to happen at WrestleMania. like, let's not forget that they're about to go do the Elimination Chamber in Australia, and that's the first time they've ever done a major event over there in Australia. And you've got the Royal Rumble too. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't they already say it's supposed to be Roman versus Randy Orton at the Rumble?
So it's Roman versus the winner of the triple threat match on Friday, which is Randy Orton, LA Knight, and I can't think of the third one.
The Rock.
AJ Styles, I believe. Maybe. The winner of that will get Roman at the Royal Rumble.
No, they're saving that for Mania. There's no way they're pulling that card anywhere else.
I mean, I would like to think that because I can't imagine it on a bigger scale. But like Kyle said, that Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, that stadium holds 70,000 people, and that's a hell of a way to sell it out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my money
with Saudi, like they opened up that market, and Ginger probably had a lot to do with that. This would really put their foot in the door in Australia, man, and just open the doors, financially for that. But the match itself, I mean, I wouldn't imagine it being on anything other than WrestleMania. It's just tough. It's tough to fit it there right now because at this point, if you don't do it now, you got to wait a whole nother year. Roman don't need the belt to take on The Rock.
And that one doesn't need to be for it. Doesn't need to be for that. Plus, here's my thing too. So if you do it before you get to WrestleMania, right? We got to get. We're all kind of hoping. I think at this point that it's going to be Roman and Cody. I think for the most part, but I think a lot of people want to see the Roman and Rock too. But think about it this way: what if you do Roman and The Rock at Elimination Chamber, right? Or because Bubba Dudley brought up a good point today on Busted Open as well. Like, do you really want to see The Rock just walk back in and get a title shot?
No,
like guy hasn't really wrestled.
I don't think we need to be for a title.
Right, but I'm saying, think about it. If you have him come at the Elimination Chamber and he wins at Elimination Chamber, well, now you got a reason for him to fight him. Or, again, like the scenario that I like as well, I mean, who says they got to fight for a title? What says that they don't just fight for the head of the table? And what if he loses to The Rock, headed into facing Cody? And Cody hits him with you're supposed to beat me and you're worried about this. Well, you just lost the head of the table. And that'd be a huge blow to his psyche headed into that match. I mean, I'm not necessarily sold on that it has to.
Here's the beauty of it all, Kyle. And this is what I think is the best part. We don't even know that match is really going to happen.
I still wouldn't be shocked if what she's saying might be what happens. Cody versus Rock, or Cody versus Roman one night and Rock versus Roman the other night. I could totally see that too, but part of me thinks that one of those nights is going to be main evented by CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. But
now, how would they? Let's say they do it that way, though. Where do we put Punk and Rollins? Do we open the show with those guys? Do we open the show on night 2 with those guys? Night 1? I mean, that belt has to matter somewhere.
That's why I think that it's more likely that match with The Rock and Roman happens before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they use The Rock to help make something bigger. But then again, how do you have The Rock come back and he's not on WrestleMania when this is already being slated to be like the biggest WrestleMania of all time?
Right. Now, yeah, see, the other alternative I could see is, and I'm not a fan of the whole year-long promo like John Cena and The Rock was. There's a different time. I'm not a fan of that, but I did hear people saying, we could do Mania 41, have The Rock ultimately cost Roman his belt at WrestleMania. Now Roman has that ammo. You cost me everything. You cost me my entire life, my entire head of the table. I blame you. And that would build up to next WrestleMania, but I don't want to wait that long. I'm not trying to wait a whole nother year. Like I said, John Cena.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to keep The Rock around for that long. Like, especially now that the actor strike's over.
Yeah, you don't even know how many dates he can work. So maybe we just need to get it out of the way at Elimination Chamber. I mean, I'd watch it. I'm watching it no matter what, but it's hard to see it anything other than WrestleMania. But hey,
Anybody who's watching, let us know in the comments. Do you think that Rock versus Roman needs to happen at WrestleMania? Does it need to happen at WrestleMania, or do you think that it can happen before that? I don't know, man. But think about the conversation that we're having right now. If this doesn't show you how hot WWE is right now, in the fact that you've got Cody versus Seth Rollins, you have to figure out what you're going to do with. You got, or not Cody versus Seth Rollins, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, sorry. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is you got to figure out when that's going to happen. You got CM Punk going into the Royal Rumble too, so you don't know if he's going to win, and he's already made it clear that one of the things he wanted was the main event WrestleMania. You got Cody versus Roman. You've got the return of The Rock. You know The Rock's already said he wants Roman, so how does The Rock tie into all that? Like, as I've said so many times, wrestling is at its best when they have so many options of where they could go and you don't know where they're going to go. And the fact that we're headed into WrestleMania season and genuinely don't know where we're going to end up only makes me more excited to be at the Royal Rumble. It makes me more excited to want to watch WrestleMania and see how this whole thing unfolds. Because if there's one thing that WWE's not, it's stupid. They're not stupid.
We don't even know how to act at this point because we're so used to getting the fans. We all know like what's coming. Oh, this is what it's going to be. As well, this is a point we really don't know, and we kind of don't know how to take it. You know what I mean? And the best time of the year for it to happen is right now at the Royal Rumble. So we still don't know what's going to happen with Randy Orton. LA Knight. Look at the rise of LA Knight. Like, where does he go from here? You know what I mean? Like, everything that's happening affects somebody else. And it's like a domino effect in WWE. You know, there's a scale. And it's like, who's going to rise, who's going to fall, especially when The Rock comes in. We don't know what's going to happen. Randy is still probably first in line, right?
I mean, because that's the other thing that makes this whole thing interesting, which on one hand, I feel like makes Cody versus Roman scary because I could see either a way where we don't end up getting Cody Roman at WrestleMania, or somehow it transitions to Cody versus Randy. At some point, that story has to be told. Like with the history that they have there, with the way that Cody was excommunicated from Legacy and the way Randy just did him so out cold like that. Like, even though they helped each other at War Games, dude, you know they got to fight at some point. So
we could use the blueprint I just laid out. Maybe we get Randy versus Roman at the Royal Rumble. The Rock ultimately cost him the match. Cost him. I mean, that Randy would would he tie the record, or would he break the record for most title wins? Would he tie it?
I believe he would. I believe he would tie it.
Okay, so that would ultimately lead to what? Cody winning the Rumble.
Okay, Don, but do you want to see The Rock versus Roman? Does that have to happen at WrestleMania, or do you think that could happen at Elimination Chamber?
I think if Roman doesn't lose this belt by WrestleMania, this whole thing is just done. Like, they're going to turn their back on the story, right? We're sick of it. I mean, I don't want to say sick of it, but it's getting old. It's got to come to an end, right? We've been doing this for years.
I just stick by what I said. If Cody doesn't beat Roman to win that title, I just feel like you've shit all over him.
Right. Because I don't think it matters if he beats Randy or anybody else for that matter. Yeah, I
think those are all stories that need to be told, but with the whole way that they've hyped up him needing to finish his story and him getting screwed over so bad at WrestleMania, and now he's had to fight through Brock Lesnar, and he's had to fight through Shinsuke Nakamura, and now he's going to basically have no choice but to have to go through the Royal Rumble in order to even be able to get back to Roman, which, if he wins the Royal Rumble again, then that means he'll win back-to-back Royal Rumbles as well.
Now, do you think we get Cody do you think he acknowledges The Rock at all going through this? Do you think we acknowledge that, hey, don't come in and try to steal my story?
I don't think that he's going to acknowledge The Rock, but I think it's impossible that Roman doesn't come out on SmackDown and say something about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he straight up said, I need to take a seat at the head. Maybe I should take a seat at the head of the table.
I just want to see so many people involved in that, dude. Bring in Rikishi.
Dude, I want to see them all.
all
Bring the whole
all of
damn
them.
family
Yeah.
and tell them that see if Rikishi really did it for the Rock, or is he gonna do it for Roman?
That's the beauty of it, though. Unpredictable, going into the best season of wrestling, man. It's going to be great.
I
Well,
agree 110%, man. And this year for knockouts and 3 counts, I feel like is going to be a very unpredictable one as well.
As we saw tonight.
Yeah, we had a run-in by Uncle Jason. He didn't even come kick it with us for a while. I feel gypped. I
wonder if he was even there in the first place.
Maybe it was all a dream. Maybe it was a mirage. Maybe it was from the aroma of those pickles from Prowler Pickles. It had me thinking that I saw
smell them from here.
Bro, them pickles were good, though. I'm not going to hold you out. Shout out to UFC fighter and past guest of the show, Miranda, Fear the Maverick. Those pickles were good. Corey needs to stop being a bitch and come try these pickles. That being said, like I said, things are going to be crazy for knockouts and 3 counts. This Thursday, like I said, we are going to have both Jesse Bazzi and Calvin Harbaugh on the show before they fight each other next week in Wayne at the Hype Athletic Center, and they're giving me the microphone. So I get to run my mouth while these two go to war, kick each other's ass. He goes, J-Bone did Donald dirty. J-Bone did Donald dirty. Not even checking his own comments. See, but Donald, you know that. You got to be watching on the main page, bruh. But, because J-Bone can't watch it. Yeah. Put him out on blast. Don't even know how to check his own comments.
Donald, I'm sorry. I apologize. I owe you a beer and a shot. Okay?
Ooh, doubling up.
Man, you hear that? He's big timing you, Donald. Do you hear that? Knockouts and 3 counts did it. The thoughts and opinions of J-Bone are not those of knockouts and 3 counts. But, I mean, that being said, I will tell you that the thoughts of knockouts and 3 counts are that this is going to be a big-ass year for us. Like I said, you've got the fight that's going down this week we're going to have on. Then you've got next week we're going to either have hopefully going to have the return of our guy Mitch McKee before his main event for LFA. Donald, something that I know you're going to be very happy about. A little birdie told me that we're going to have the return of not one, but maybe both of the Pillars and D-Mac come back through with the Process MM3 and Tommy Vendetta to come talk about them winning the H2O belts and wanting to fight another one of my homies in the Prize City OG, Alec Price, who could be coming to a show near you soon. And, I mean, Chris Van Vliet says he's coming back through the show, and Chris Kale from Five Finger Death Punch says he's coming back through the show, and I heard JC might be coming through the show.
Oh, shit.
Last week, Donald, that was because I was at IWR and we were trying to do a pre-recorded episode. And so
Donald,
we just thought you didn't love us anymore, Donald, because you didn't. We haven't seen you in the comments anymore. We just thought you. I know. We need
Donald,
to see.
We live too close to not have a drink together, man. So let's get one. Let's get one.
I mean, I'm with it. January 13th. Lights Out Championship. It's going to be some damn good fights. I know for a fact they're going to have alcohol in there, and somebody's going to get beat up, and it's not going to be me, hopefully. But with that said, it's a good time for all of us to get together. Don, you should come out. All of y'all should come out. Make sure you check out Lights Out Championship. Make sure you check out the show this Thursday. You're going to find out just why you need to be there in Wayne at the Hype Athletic Center. You also have the Return to the Cage of Abe Al-Sagir as well. So, like I said, if you're new here, you got to fuck around and find out because we've got a lot coming to you. You never know who you're going to see on the other end of that.
Next week, Tuesday, we're going to be celebrating the Michigan National Championship for the record. So,
hell yeah, put that out in the air. Hail to the victors. What does the Thrillbilly Silas Mason say? We're going to the Natty. Until the next time, in between time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go blue, and hopefully Dan Campbell Big Nuts don't get us in trouble at the playoffs, but that's a story for another time. Peace.